maybe those other two issues may not be of major concern to us, but for issues of immigration. And we have Mr. Samuel Braimah in studio to help us understand what the UK's elections means for Ghana. Good morning, sir, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, and good morning to your cherished viewers. May I also take the opportunity to say congratulations to the royal family in the UK, the birth of the princess,
yes.
Charlotte, Elizabeth, Diana. I think that's an important feature in the British life.
Yes. Okay, to start with, what are the main foreign policies in the United Kingdom's decision? How do they relate, and what are some of the policies that they've worked with over time? Is there a possibility that would change looking at this particular elections?
Yeah, to a large extent, the British foreign policy, immigration, as Nana Abba said, is an issue. But as far as Ghana is concerned, their policy on foreign aid is key. And I think that no matter which party wins, that policy could change, remain the same, or change just slightly, remain the same, or become very drastic.
Okay. And its direct impact on Africans in general, and maybe Ghana specifically, how concerned should we be?
I think the fact that there will be no straightforward win is an issue to be concerned about. Right now, if you look at the polls from last night up to this morning, it looks like it's about 35% Conservative and 34% of the Labour government. Now, if one of them wins, it means that they will have to do a coalition in order to rule. And depending on which party they align with, that party's foreign thinking will influence the final decision on foreign policy. For example, I'm surprised that the UK Independent Party, the new party, is overtaking the Liberal Democrats in the polls. Now, if any party decides to align with the UKIP, and the UKIP has a very radical stand in terms of foreign aid, they are saying they were going to budget about £3 billion for the military. They are going to cut down on their foreign aid, and they are going to literally take out DFID, which is the foreign aid branch of the British government. Now, if any party decides to align with the UKIP in order to form a coalition, then that strong influence on foreign aid could impact on the current situation. They might not get all their way on scrapping DFID, but at the end of the day, they might end up having to reduce some amount of foreign aid that is going out. The other part is Europe. As Nanaba said, their relation with Europe is a key issue, and the relation with Europe ties in with our sign of the economic partnership agreement with Europe that releases Ghanaian companies to be able to do business with Europe. In some shops in the UK, you can go in and Marks and Spencer's in Manchester. I bought a banana that was labeled "banana from Ghana." So, if aligning with a party that is strongly anti-Europe could also have impact in these areas.
The other issue that comes up for discussion is which of the parties do you think Africa should support if we were to even have the power to support and say we want this party to win or that party to win? Because in my last few interviews I've done, it looks like Ghanaians or Africans seem to support the Labour Party because they seem to have done us some good in the past.
Yes, Labour has a tendency to say, look, we belong to a global economy, and we want to vote this amount of money, up to 7% of our GDP, for development, international development outside the UK, and so that tendency is there, and I think that tendency is quite good. I must also hint that the current development in the international scene, where you are seeing terrorist groups growing out of the UK, has been blamed on the number of foreigners who are becoming UK citizens. Now, that is natural. if you can see all these who are going to do jihad wars are people of foreign origin, and so that has influenced British thinking, and that is maybe the reason why the UKIP has suddenly had a strong support, and the polls are showing that their percentage is gone higher than the Liberal Democrats. Yeah.
But clearly, the UK is one of the most cosmopolitan countries in the world.
Yes,
are they going to be able to, pass stringent laws, or pass laws that are going to cut the influence or impact of foreigners in their country? Is there anything like that they could do?
They will not be. They will not. I don't think they will get that far. The UKIP are the most prominent in terms of shutting down on foreigners and things like that. But I don't think they will be able to pass laws that will completely shut down on foreigners. Remember that they are still part of the EU, and the EU's policy on immigration has an impact on them. They can't cut out. You are either with them or you are not with them. And currently, the critic on David Cameron is that he is not clear. He hasn't taken a clear stand on Europe, on their membership of the EU. But it will be difficult for them to take a drastic policy that will cut out immigration into Europe. From your reading of the development in the UK so far, which of the 2 or 4 parties, because now we have the Conservatives, which is the incumbent, yes,
we have the Labour, which is also strongly following and probably even likely to overtake, depending on the following the polls, and then also the Liberal Democrats seem to be losing grounds to the United Kingdom Independence Party.
Yes.
Which of these 4 leading parties do you think would be able to emerge, or if there's going to be a coalition government, which of the 4 do you think is going to emerge winners?
I think that in Western elections, the polls have always shown some indicators of success. But when the polls are this close, then interest in voting increases. You remember the Scotland vote, the percentage of turnout was over 80%. In the 2010 elections, the percentage turnout was about 65%. I suspect that the percentage turnout this year will be higher. That may render the predictions from the polls not very accurate. So I wouldn't be surprised if one party comes out clearly showing a strength beyond what the polls are showing. But I suspect that Labour, the Conservatives might take it.
The Conservatives might take it
with a small majority, and then they will try to form a coalition. And remember that they can still form a government without a coalition. The only difficulty when they form a government without a coalition is that in any time there is a voting in Parliament, they will have to campaign party by party and parliamentarian by parliamentarian to get the votes if they don't form a coalition. But if they form a coalition, then that is guaranteed. Anytime they have a interpass with the Parliament, it will go through.
But if they have a coalition, do they not automatically have the numbers to pass laws? Of course, yes, there will be the voting process, but how much influence do you think that the other smaller parties or representatives in their parliament would have on any decision that a coalition they can take?
To some extent, they can have an impact on the decisions they take, but it is very small. If you are following the British politics of late, you realize that the Liberal Democrat members who are in government have expressed frustrations of the way government is doing things that they are not happy with. And so, although they can influence policies, the government can decide to do otherwise, and that can create frustrations among the people in government. I think UKIP will be the party. I'll be very careful in terms of making a coalition with either the Labour government or the Conservative government.
Okay, so we are looking at wrapping up this discussion on the UK politics, but in conclusion, do you think that Africans and Ghana, for that matter, should start rethinking how we also relate to these Western powers or Western economies, especially with the fact that we always go to them cup in hand?
Yes, I think that we should rethink our relationship with them. I don't think going cap in hand is a term, because some people see foreign aid of the Western world to Africa as a gift. It is not a gift, and I think that is fostering corruption in Africa. If you see foreign aid as a gift, then you think that it's a gift, I can do anything I want with it. And we should see it as their contribution to development in Africa. If we see it that way, then it will give us a different perspective on how we treat foreign aid. I will also think that some of the policies, particularly related to climate change, affect Africa. For example, some of the parties are saying, look, if the idea of capping emissions should be taken off. They are asking Africa to do things to mitigate climate change, and then and yet they don't want to do that. So we need to rethink how we are handling foreign aid. It is not a gift. It's not something we have begged for. It's a relationship issue. And remember that it's also a two-way issue, because when foreign aid is given to Africa, there are a lot of ways the home country benefits. Right. I studied in the UK under a British scholarship. All the scholarships should go there. Remember, all the money they have given you in terms of scholarship is paid back to the university in the UK. I paid poll tax, and I voted in the UK. So you are there for a year, and during that period, you are spending in the UK. The money is given to you, but at the end of the day, it ends up there. So foreign aid is not necessarily cap in hand, but it contributes to their economy in several ways. And right now, with the EU policies, it is difficult for any country to break away. And I think rethinking our development, the Paris Declaration that happened recently, followed by the Accra Agenda for Action, indicates that African countries must take more responsibility of their development planning, and they must be seen by their foreign counterparts as equals. So we don't sit down and a development plan is delivered to us by the bank or by a donor and we follow it, but we contribute significantly to the thinking that goes into our development planning.
Okay. We'll have to leave it here for now. Thank you very much, Samuel Braimah. He is the Executive Director for the African Evaluation Association, and he was helping us understand the UK-Ghana relationship or UK-Africa relationship with specific reference to the fact that the UK is going to the polls this morning.